independent AEM guy. I joined the CMS Kickoff at St. Pete's Beach earlier this year, and I was the only AEM guy in the room, so I got a nickname. Been working for AEM for 12 years. I've been working in the CMS space for a lot longer. I used to develop WordPress plugins until I found more mature products. Just a second. I'm trying to get my slides to go across. Yeah, all about me. I'm a principal consultant, digital domain technologies, seasoned CMS consultant. What was the CMS Kickoff? Well, obviously, it's a conference for content management systems leaders held annually. It's not a place where people brag about what they're doing. It's a place where people share what they're doing. And it feels really good to be at a thing like the CMS Kickoff. I think it was Jeff Eaton said, "I'm glad I'm here because I'm not the smartest person in the room." I totally agree with him. Normally when I do a consultation, I'm the only guy that knows the CMS. Everybody else wants to use it. And that's a difficult position to be in when you're with others that are knowledgeable at CMS. The ideas flow and things really kick off. And at this conference, I just could not stop taking notes. It was really, really good. We had a whole bunch of topics from lots of different people. The slides will be coming around later, but the conference agenda was here too. Fascinating, every aspect of it. For me, it was one of the best conferences I've ever been to, and I've been to a lot in my life. The main thread through the talks, AI. A lot of people mentioned AI. It comes up, it's of the moment in our industry. But the conference twisted my expectations. When I arrived and people started talking about AI, I thought that they were going to say AI will create content for your site. That seems to be the way a lot of people are thinking. You'll be out of work. AI will do it all from now on. But no, it's all upside down. AI's got too much problems. It's got translation memories. It's got style guides, the documentation sources. Where did you train your AI from? Is it picking up public knowledge? Does it do localization? Does it understand sidewalks and pavements? Does it understand bias, gender, race, the cultural nuances, the idiomatic expressions we all use? There's problems with legal issues. There's lack of repeatability. There's a lack of trust. And increasingly, AI is being regulated. We all have seen the articles kicking around at the moment where Air Canada had an AI agent invent a refund policy, and the company was held liable for this refund policy being published on the website because it had been made up by AI and given to a customer. You also see articles about how AI is stealing all the content from all over the globe, ignoring robots.txt and sucking it up. No, AI won't create content. It may modify and vary the content that you create, but you'll create it in the first place. AI will read your content, and it will read it in a big way. One of the talks that we had was, for me, it was led by Nick Rudd, and it was the real mind blower for me. He was talking about this topic: how does an 8-year-old buy a toy? They're smart. They know what they want. They go to Google, Bing, wherever, type, "I want a toy Plessis." They choose from the images. They don't look at brands. They don't look at the retailer. They don't look at the price. Well, mostly they don't look at the price. Say to the parent, "That one." And then the parent has one choice: buy or not. So the thing is that the AI agent is just like an 8-year-old. It will ignore retailers. It will not refine its search. It will ignore brands. It might skim customers' reviews. It might sort things by price, probably not. It won't create an account. It won't follow your drop downs. It won't give you an email address until it buys something from you, but it will give you the AI email address. It will not tell you who your customer was. It will ignore your videos and animations. It will ignore the links that say, "See our shops," and it will skim read your copy if it can find it amongst the ads. What happened at Stack Overflow? Well, when ChatGPT launched, its engagement dropped dramatically. and Stack Overflow is letting go 28% of its workforce to cut costs. Is this AI? But not necessarily. They might be cutting costs anyway, but I can see a cause and effect. There is a thing going around the internet at the moment saying that most websites are seeing a decrease in traffic. Traffic is falling by about 15% since ChatGPT launched. I no longer go to Google and search for things. Personally, I go into ChatGPT and say, tell me. If I'm looking for something, even for technical items, it's much, much easier to get to the pile of information that you want without going through lots and lots and lots of different screens and links to find things. I wrote an article for LinkedIn. I wanted to know what was on the pictures when I was in St. Pete's, and I would have to have clicked 27 different links to find out which pictures were on, which films were on, and what times they started on the local cinema screen in downtown St. Pete's. So I asked ChatGPT, and it listed it all in 1 second. So I didn't go to the website. I didn't look at their adverts. I didn't look at the trailers. I looked at the titles and the times, and from that, I chose a movie that I wanted to see. It won't be long until ChatGPT says, do you want to buy a ticket for this movie? Because you've been there before. You like this kind of film and you've never seen it. I'll go, yes, ChatGPT will buy the ticket for me. And then they will keep the commission from the website. They'll keep the recommendations from the website. They'll hide my name from the website. So the cinema provider will no longer know who I am as a customer. So this affects all of our KPIs that we have today on the web. In the good old days, before ChatGPT came out, we measured sites on things like total visits, number of unique visitors, number of new and returning visitors, where they live on the planet, geographical location. Things like the Net Promoter Score were very, very important to some companies. Pages viewed per session, dwell time, bounce rate, conversions, A/B testing, organic search, social shares, site engagement, feedback and reviews, cart abandonment. All of these things will disappear when AI comes to your site and sells the things that you offer directly to the AI's customers, not your customers. You lose the engagement that you had. This is a future that's going to arrive quicker than we think. It's happening so fast. In the 2 months since the St. Pete's Beach conference, the number of changes that have happened to AI has been incredible. It's impossibly fast. Let's return to our AI acting as an 8-year-old. It looks for a toy pleasurist. It gets to your site. This is a well-known site. AI might have a quick look at the HTML to see what's going on behind the website. And you can see in here that we've got lots and lots of messy HTML from one of the world's biggest websites. Things like the title recipe contains the brand name of the product hidden in a thing called an H2 class A size mini S-line clamp 1. Yeah, that's very meaningful. The description is in a span class A size base plus A color base A text normal. There's 5 prices in the pricing section. Depends whether you've got off-screen pricing, on-screen pricing, VAT applicable pricing, non-VAT applicable pricing, and discount purchases. There's no limits in use marked up. In the text somewhere up here, it says, ooh, up there it says, suitable for children aged 4 to 12 years, but there's nothing that decorates this to tell the page or an AI what's going on. You want a bulk discount, it's hidden in the page. So that's rather difficult for humans to read, let alone AI. So I'm suggesting 2 things. Content modeling. The content model, the CMS way. This was a talk from another one of our compatriots at St. Pete's Beach, talking about content modeling and the way that the CMS is modeled as opposed to the way content should be modeled. When you envisage a website, designers fixate on the presentation. So when you're doing something like Amazon, how does it look? Does it appeal to a human's eye? So they build a design system with fonts, colors, components, and interactions. They build heroes, cards, lists, articles, etc. The content team is asked to create testimonials. So someone decides that testimonials should be in the cards component. Special offers. Someone decides that it should be in the lists component. Coming soon message. Someone decides that that would look good in an image with a link component or a bulk discount message. Let's stick that in a text component. This is content modeling by developers. We have abrogated our responsibility for the content, and we have said to the developers, you create things that the designers have designed, and we'll put them on the page, and we'll try and shoehorn our content into those artifacts so that we can make sense out of what we're doing, but nobody reading it as a machine can. So we need to rethink the way that we do content modeling. I have started this practice in my own consultancy, and I have turned a team around to get them to stop thinking about heroes, cards, lists, and articles, but to think about the intention behind the component and to decorate the components with intention names rather than component names, which means that the site becomes much, much easier to understand, much, much easier to discuss, and it highlights the content in good ways. So two things we need. One is to start thinking about components as intent rather than design. And we need to apply schema.org, which is a technical improvement. We need to have an enthusiastic use of content models and the application of schema without putting a cognizant overload on the content team. This is a big ask. It took me about 2 to 3 weeks to turn the team round and get them to think about content models instead of components that contain text and images, because that's all that they were thinking about for a CMS. So the thing that you have to change will be a big step, but I assure you it'll be worth it. You should create your schema, your content and your schema before designing the templates, pages, and components. All of the developers, the content teams, and designers must be aware of and be involved in the design of the site schema. Start at the top and ripple it through. So designers must allocate schema to components, and developers must build schema-based content components inheriting from a design, allowing for variations. So you create a testimonial component with schema attributes based on the card design, but each field in the testimonials component has an attribute that relates to testimonials. This is a slightly different way from what we normally do. We normally create the cards design and have free-form text that you can fill in. But if you turn it around and do it this way, the testimonials component will mean so much more to humans and to machines. Similarly with blogs components, you must turn it around and do it the other way. So the content team no longer just pick up a cards component and fill it in. They follow the content model, connect the correct content component, and then make sure that everything is attributed correctly. And the test team and QA reviewers mustn't just check that the site works. They've got to look into the schema, the content, and the wrappers to make sure that the whole thing has been built properly. So a little bit more work for more people. Not tremendous, but a change in mindset, which moves us on to the next level of designing component 3. Some people think that we've had meta schema around semantic websites for a long time. We began doing things like having heads and sections and asides and articles. That was the limit of my semantic decoration of components before I went to this big conference. After I'd come back from there, I decided to use wrappers and to put semantic content all the way through the CMS, and I'm working heavily on building that out now. So if we look at something like the RDF A schema and we apply that to the Plesiosaurus HTML, instead of all of the messy HTML that we had, we can now have decorated HTML where we tell the machine that's reading this, the machine could be a Google search engine, The machine can be an AI search engine, it could be an AI agent, or it could just be an AI summarizer. But we're telling it in detail that we have a name, plesiosaurus, we have a description, we have an audience. It's got a suggested minimum age, a suggested maximum age. We've got a bit of text for humans. We can tell it that we're going to talk about a brand name, and the brand name is Schleich. We can tell it that it's an offer, it's got a currency in pounds, it's got content of a price in that currency. We can tell its availability, we can give it a link to find the page for the final product. We can tell it that there's a transaction volume and that you can get discounts if you build buy more than 2 units. So now AI, humans and machines, can read the site's contents. Humans are getting it displayed nicely on the screen. AI has got it decorated. There's no longer 5 different prices with things hidden off screen and all sorts of stuff going on at the edge. Call to action. We need to target 4 devices. In the olden days, we did mobile, tablet, and desktop. Now we need to add machine for the future. Machines need to be able to read our websites. We need a strategy that has a solid content model that applies consistently across all platforms. We need this for targeted ads, personalized content, and campaign management. We no longer want to use developer-driven content modeling approach. It must be revised and rethought. We must wrap our content semantically and stick to structured data schemas. And this is more than just the semantic web that we had 10 years ago. This is going deeper. We need to add an AI evangelist to the roles in our content teams, a pivotal figure in our organizations, driving the adoption of AI technologies. So I would like to stop at this point and open it to discussion. I have a few questions to start the discussion off, and I'd like feedback from the herd mind. Do you have or intend to have an AI evangelist on your teams? Is metadata an old fad that is coming back to life, or is it something that's just going to be good, or are we just going to ignore it in the future? Is the AI web crawler a worry for you? How will AI change the web? I really think it's going to stop people reading the web. AI is going to read the web and people are going to read summaries. How soon will AI agents offer to purchase the goods, services for you and take it away? And will you take action?
All right, Tom, thank you very much. Very impressive. We made it just on the agreed 20 minutes. I did think I saw Paola raise her hand. Perhaps that worked, yes. Would you mind starting? I think we have discussion points here for much more than 9 minutes, but why don't you start, Paola?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Tom. I'm obviously always delighted to see anyone banging on the semantics. We need semantics in content modeling. I completely agree. No, my question was a bit more technical. So obviously, I do believe that semantics will be some of the ways to avoid hallucinations, and it could be a good way to implement the guardrails for large language models. But do you have already a working model for how the large language model will consume the semantics that you have injected in the code? Because right now they just read the language. So do you have already a solution in mind? Just said we're looking into using a knowledge graph to provide that layer in between the content and the large language models. But I was curious to see if there are other approaches.
Great. Thank you, Paola. I muted Tom so that we could hear a couple of other voices too. Tom. All right. Volker can go next.
Yeah, thanks. First, thanks for the interesting overview and the different view of how to build things. And I'm with you that we need to create them for machines. But yeah, you asked the right questions. Is the IE web crawler a worry, and how will it change the web? And I think especially for pages which are creating content and needs the reader on their page. I think for companies it isn't a big issue where they get the information to the customer, but if you are having a media site or whatever, the web crawler, the IE web crawler will provide much more information because I can aggregate the answers from different sites. And so, I have my private site, I have a blog, and for that I'm really worried about my readership, because I'm sure that in the next 1 or 2 years they get much better in providing the right information to what topic I need, because it's aggregated. And even if I have the links, they won't click it anymore. So yeah, just my two.
And then let's move to London to my friend joining from Unilever.
Hello, hi everyone. Thank you. That was really interesting. I have a very broad question, and I guess the answer might depend on our strategy or what we're trying to achieve, but I'll put it out there anyway. So at Unilever, our team have 81 corporate websites in 31 languages on the Sanity CMS. And my question is we're just dipping our toe, looking at strategically what we're going to be doing in the IA space. And we're starting with a translation proof of concept. But what I'm interested in, there's lots of great minds here and experience. What are the areas we should look at focusing on, like for the biggest win across a corporate website real estate? That's what I'm really interested to know.
All right, thank you very much. I think it might be fair now, Tom, if you want to come back from hiding, it's not, but being muted. Did you get all of these good inputs?
Yeah, yes. Thing that I see is that the space is changing. It's changing rapidly. There's a tool called Arc Search, which is an AI. It's only available on iOS at the moment. If you go into Google and say, who is Tom Cranstoun, you will find that it's an impossible ask. You just will not get anything. If you said, who is Janus Boy, you're not going to get it. If you go to Arc Search on an iPhone and ask those questions, you're going to get a detailed breakdown of those individuals, and you will find out all about them and where they exist and where they have content on the internet in a personalized web page built just for you. Tools like this are changing the architecture of search. So the question was, how do you see the schemas being built to make these things work? ArcSearch publishes their schema for AI searching. I haven't yet built that into a website yet. It's currently working by looking at things. When you ask for a person, it looks at Facebook, it looks at LinkedIn, it drags through and trawls through traditional material. But the RDFA, the JSON-LD is the way I'm building my schema to help AI understand my websites at the moment.
All right. I think that was perhaps one of the 4 comments. What would be your advice to a large, complex, global organization? I think I could rephrase Dieter's question in like where to start.
Yeah, where to start? Start with a small project, of course. You should always take something that's not going to matter. You're going to make mistakes on the first one that you build, and iterate through the loop until you completely get the results the outcomes that you're trying to get. I've built 4 small websites. I've moved my content model to those 4 websites, and I am seeing how they get on. I will let that run for about 3 months before I will rethink and replan my attitudes. So start small, iterate often, and continually review. It's not time to make a big jump just yet because things aren't stable. The AI world changes dramatically from day to day. So I would hold back on massive whole-scale changes. And I would say for the 81 corporate sites, take a series of landing pages and turn them into a journey that you can try and look at the improvements that you will get from that. That makes sense.
Thanks, Tom. That's really useful. Thank you.
All right, good. We have 1 or 2 more minutes, additional reflections, comments, discussion points here, perhaps. Bill, I see you're still with us. I know this is also a topic that's dear to your heart, and we have an upcoming call plan next month with you and Nicole. Would you mind sharing your reflections, also having seen CMS since before it was CMS?
Yeah, and I agree wholeheartedly that you have to think of this as another channel. And I think we have to stop thinking so much of the concept of just crawling websites to ingest the data, that we should be using APIs and CMS connectors. And the CMS connectors are giving us the content with the metadata that we're looking for so that the AI has a more context. We're doing it. Another thing, which is that when we're adding search controls to websites, we're actually not just using the search control to answer the question that somebody types in, but we're providing metadata of where the user is. So if the user is on a product page, we know which product that they're on. So when they ask a generic question, we then add that meta information to help better answer the question as well.
Great, thank you. Anybody else here at the end? So many things going. Let's finish perhaps in Toronto. Mark?
Thanks. A very interesting discussion. Just 2 quick points on the AI agents offer to purchase goods and services. This is already happening. I don't know whether you guys have seen the Rabbit launch and a few other models which are actually able to go and transact on your behalf. So this world is here now, albeit in play form. And the other thing I would say is that we're starting to see another layer of AI where AI agents are negotiating with other AI agents. I've got a company I'm aware of in the supply chain business where they're using AI as negotiation agents with other AIs from other portions of the supply chain. That stuff is absolutely wild when you think about how quickly this space is evolving. So, Tom, thanks very much for today. Really interesting stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to finish off with you, Tom. You get the last word.
Yeah, Rabbit, I think it's a fascinating concept. I've seen the demos. You have to train Rabbit yourself by going to websites and clicking on the buttons. Those days are soon going to be gone, and tools like Rabbit will go with them. Thank you.
Thank you. To be continued, I would say thank you everybody for finding the time. I really appreciate it, and perhaps in particular a big thank you to you, Tom, for taking the time to try to digest this big question of